It's always fun talking about the Cowboys with Nick Eatman. He's covered the team the last couple decades, but it's especially fun when the team is playing well, which really it has been all season long. Last time out, Nick, a 40-point win over the Atlanta Falcons. Of course, the biggest win for this club in probably the whole time you've been covering the team, because it goes back to 2000. And on top of that, the Dan Quinn revenge game. That's a fun little story. But the way that I know Dallas is back on track, Trayvon Diggs had another interception.
Yeah, that happened like in the third quarter, and I remember just kind of sitting in the press box going, that's, now it's like playing a video game. You're like, okay, who do you want to score? What kind of things do you want? And I even said, man, I really want Trayvon to get another pick. That would just be icing on the cake, and it was. I mean, it was a great, interception. The way he got it, caught it off his head, and for him, he'd been struggling a little bit. So yeah, to get his 8th pick and just on top of a dominating defensive performance, it was a great day all the way around.
So we have a tendency, right, to try and turn negatives into positives. I think especially over the course of a football season, sort of human nature. At least we try to do that anyway. But was this that, to lose the way the Cowboys did against the Broncos? Was that a beneficial wake-up call, for lack of a better way of putting it? Because this team came out against the Falcons as aggressive, as angry, you might say, as they have all season.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you never want to say let's get a loss here. You don't ever think that you need that. But I think you can learn to build from it and go, all right, what can we take from it? And really, I thought it was a wake-up call when you go back about a month before that and think how they beat the Panthers, the Giants, the Patriots, the Vikings. All of those games, they did not start out well. Some of them losing at halftime, trailing in the second half, and had to kind of get it going. And I think Denver was a wake-up call to say, you don't always get it going. You can't just have these slow starts and expect to come back. They not only didn't come back, it got worse in Denver. So I thought it was a good wake-up call to say, we need to get on track, get a fast start, jump on them early. And you saw just a motivated, hungry team. And like you said, angry. They were very embarrassed by what happened against Denver.
Cowboys had a team record 29 points in the second quarter. And I'll readily admit, Nick, this is kind of a dumb question because you know this team well. You know how explosive this offense is. We talk about it week after week. But to see 29 points in a single quarter, is it possible this offense is even more explosive than you give it credit for?
Yeah, I mean, for that to happen, you got to have some. It's got to go your way, and I mean, I believe they started the first possession of the second quarter with a drive already down there, able to score quick, and then you get a punt block that you recover into the end zone. So there are some things that sort of have to happen, but let's not forget the offense. It can be very dynamic. It was, and they were balanced. They were throwing the ball around, but then they also got in that red zone and ran the ball in. They figured something out a little bit with a fullback, if you will, and Connor McGovern, who's a backup guard, but they're running the ball better. They red zone was great. So, it can be a dynamic offense when they're all clicking like it was Sunday.
3 touchdowns for Dak Prescott, 1 on the ground, of course. He passed for a couple to CeeDee Lamb. Ezekiel Elliott ran for a couple. He had a quieter day yardage-wise, but again, got into the end zone twice. But those are names that we talk about all the time. What'd you think of the return of Michael Gallup? It was his first action since week 1.
Yeah, I liked what I saw there. He looked kind of back on track, already doing the things that we know from him. He's got great feet on the sideline. He had a toe tap there for a big 4th down catch. He's also a good contested catcher. He catches the ball in the crowd. He showed that on his very first catch. Now, he's also a deep ball threat. We didn't see that much in the game, but he did drop one over the middle that he was, he could have gone for a little while there too. So maybe a tad of rust there, but he made some other great plays earlier that you think he's back on track and ready to go, and just another dynamic player that they throw into the offense.
So with Gallup back, 3 for almost 50 for him, and again, that first game since week 1. And this is a guy who a couple of years ago, he had 1,100-plus yards. Last year in a full season, went for right around 850. Does anybody have to suffer with Gallup back in the offense? Who takes a little bit of a step back here?
Probably, Cedric Wilson, who had just filled in nicely as the third receiver, and he's done a good job. And he was banged up with a shoulder injury, didn't really play in the game, maybe played a snap or two, but so that was kind of good timing from the Cowboys standpoint to just throw Gallup back in with Cedric Wilson out. I mean, that'll probably be what happens. Cedric Wilson doesn't get as many catches, but it's Gallup. This is a big year for him, contract year. And he has a chance, and he's a dynamic deep ball guy. So just another great addition there. And, I think that those are your best three receivers all along. And, what we haven't seen really is we haven't seen the three of them with Dak Prescott for more than just a handful of games. And that was last year before Dak got hurt. And then, then it was all different with the offensive, with the passing game. So to get all three of these guys with a healthy Dak, an offensive line, and a running game, it could be even better than we've seen.
We spent a lot of time last year talking about how putrid the NFC East was. This year, it's kind of the same story. Of course, Dallas notwithstanding, the Cowboys are running away with that division right now. How do you guard against complacency?
Well, I think I think the thing about that is it's not as bad as it's been. The Cowboys have one of the top records, but then just look at the way teams have been playing here. I think all of the teams in the division have won their last game. I know Washington knocked off Tom Brady and the Bucs. Mm-hmm. I know that the Eagles, put the Broncos back down to earth, and won that game. And I believe the Giants had a bye, but they had won the week before, maybe. I can't remember exactly who, but maybe not. But I feel like they've won a few here. So that in December you're going to face these teams, and it's going to be tough. It always is in the division, and these teams are playing hard. So they're running away with it because of the record that they have, but I don't think the other teams in the division are laying down for anyone.
I guess when it comes to guarding against complacency, as I was just asking you about, one way to not do that is looking at the big picture season, right?
Yeah.
It's you go one week at a time, but now you've got, even like the rookie Micah Parsons is being asked about this upcoming stretch here. You got the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. You have a Thanksgiving game, of course, against the Raiders. You have the Saints after that, and everyone, at least outside the locker room, those of us in the media are looking at the Cowboys schedule in this 3-game sort of way, this upcoming set, as opposed to just 1 week at a time, which you usually hear coaches and players harp on. But now when players and coaches are asked about, long stretches as opposed to just how do you contain Patrick Mahomes, I don't know, is that troublesome in a way to not try and look too far ahead?
Well, no, that's what we do. We're not supposed to be in the meetings. We can do that. We can look at, I know that the Cowboys play 4 of their next 5 on the road. I know that they've got, and people love to count the games in the days when it comes to Thanksgiving. They got 3 games in 16 days and blah, blah, blah. They got to face Patrick Mahomes this week in Kansas City. That's the only thing that the football team needs to worry about. And that's what they're going to do. They're going to worry about that. They're going to be focused on that. They're not going to let it go. And so they're not looking past it. I don't even think they're thinking about Thanksgiving or any of that kind of stuff. Now the team, the coaches, the trainers, they might, when in terms of, do we want to bring this guy back knowing we got another game in 4 days, they can figure that out. But as far as what they've got on their plate, if you look past Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs on the road, then you're not doing your job. You're not doing what you need to be doing. And so I don't think that's going to happen at all. This is the game that you look at. The Chiefs are going to bring it. They're back. No one ever doubted that they would be for this game, and this should be a lot of fun.
Well, you said it, Dallas and KC next. So give us a fantasy focus here. What's the priority on offense?
Well, keep up, score and attack the secondary. And I think, as long as the weather should be good, it should be cool, but it won't be too bad. I think they can throw the ball around there. And I think you have to attack Kansas City secondary. You got to spread them around. This is a great game for Gallup to be back and going again, because you're going to have to attack them. I think you got to play the entire field, 55 yards or whatever it is wide, use it all, and really get the Chiefs secondary going in all ways. And, when that's happening, he's been quiet lately, tight end Dalton Schultz, but look for that to come back into play for this game. You just can't cover all these receivers, and when you try, that's where Schultz is typically over the middle, clapping his hands, ready to go, 6 yard, 12 yard, 15 yards. and he can make some plays there. So I would think Schultz could be a guy that could rack up a few points this week.